The day for the Dallas Cowboys. When I saw this today, first I laughed, and then I said, I told you. You know me, I hate to say I told you so, right? I hate to say I told you so.
I think for you offered to give that up for Lent, but I thought it was too punitive.
Yeah, no, I do. I hate to say that. But, boy, was I right about the Cowboys and Dak Prescott. What did I tell you from Jerry Jones's all-in comment the day he made it? Jerry Jones saying all-in means we're going to run it back with what we have. We're not spending this year, and maybe we'll spend next year. But this is the year where basically I'm going to say, you made this mess. Now you guys clean it up, or I'll clean it up next offseason. And I told you that Dak Prescott was a big part of this. And Dak wasn't going to get a contract extension. They were going to play out this year and then decide, do we give Dak $50 million a year or $60 million a year, or do we let him go? Because that's really what's going to help the Cowboys stay a great team. You can find a quarterback that can give you what Dak Prescott gives you, and you're saving $60 million. You can figure out the rest of your roster. The Cowboys today, we find out that Dak Prescott is likely going to play this season under his current contract. There is no extension, and he's going to hit free agency in the offseason. Jerry Jones said, we're locked and loaded for 2024. What I told you about what all-in is. All-in, we're going to go. No, you're going to come back with the same guys, with less guys actually, because you're going to lose players because you've signing guys to bad contracts, and good luck getting it done this year. And oh, by the way, Dak Prescott's on a one-year prove-it situation. Yeah. As good as he was last year, the last two-thirds of the regular season, he was on a heater and he was fantastic. But boy, the playoff failures for Dak Prescott in Dallas are just immense. And I told you, everything changed last year when they lost to Brock Purdy and the Niners in that bad 17-12 loss. Everything, no matter what Dak did, he was going to be judged on the playoffs. And then they come out and they lay an absolute egg, and he is awful against the Packers. Now, he didn't play defense. He didn't help Jordan Love to a perfect quarterback rating, but Dak Prescott
it did nothing awful to stop the bleeding.
If he does not have a great season and lead the Cowboys deep into the playoffs, the Cowboys are going to let him go. And they're going to let him go because they're going to realize, okay, we've had the best of Dak Prescott, and we can't win a playoff game. He's just in the playoffs. He absolutely melts down. Now, so this is not that big a deal. They didn't extend Dak from Dak's perspective because, hey, Dak still wants to be, we know how bad he wants to be quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. And if he's great next year and the Cowboys win a couple of games, you know Jerry Jones, he loves to write checks, especially the guys he feels like he discovered. Mm-hmm. He's got that feeling towards Dak Prescott. I drafted Dak. Lots of teams passed on him. So, yeah, if he has a great year, you know what, Dak, here you go. $60 million a year for the net, whatever it's going to be. Here's $180 million for the next 3 years, all guaranteed. He'll do that next year. But if he's not good, Dallas will let him walk. They've been moving towards this for a while. Those playoff losses are just awful, and they can't deal with it. And Dak's contract situation is what's going to keep them from fielding a really competitive team. It's too much money for a guy that when you get to the playoffs, okay, yeah, we're just okay. When you can have close to Dak Prescott's close to his production where you can really amp up the rest of the team. They couldn't go out and sign. They have no money to sign a running back. They have no money to bring in another wide receiver. They're losing players. They signed a long snapper. Congratulations. Very good. That's a big move. This is a Cowboys team that's going to stink this year. They're going to struggle to make the playoffs. As much as, hey, Dak is, still a good quarterback, but, is he great? Is he going to lead them to the playoffs? No. They're going to struggle to make the playoffs. They'll be a 500 type team this year at best. And if Dak isn't great, and I'm telling you how this is going to go, the Cowboys are going to let him go. He's going to hit free agency next year, and they're going to let him go to another team. It's what they need to do because it's measured differently in Dallas. You can have great regular seasons, which he has had, but the playoff failures are so great, and they're so top of mind that this is what's going to push it the other way. Outside of a huge run, like the pressure that he's under, the Ryan Day type pressure to go undefeated and win the national title with Ohio State, same thing for Dak. Dude, you got to win the NFC East, or you got to get into the playoffs. You got to carry us at least 2 wins into the playoffs, at least in the NFC Championship game, if you want to stay our quarterback. That's a ton of pressure for Dak to have it. He doesn't have the team. I don't see it happening. So if he has to have my crystal ball, I would say this time next year, or a little bit before this time next year, we're talking about Dak Prescott, free agent, and other teams are going to line up to try to go sign him, thinking maybe he'll be better with us.
Well, but that's it, right? And if you're Dak Prescott, you're also looking at that side of things as well, is that as well as you've played, you haven't exactly been dealt with a squad that dominated, and we've certainly have been going for years at the decision-making of McCarthy in big spots and Jason Garrett before him. right? So he's not alone in this. And from the team perspective, sure. You're already on the hook. What is he, 55 against the cap this year and 67, 68 or whatever the dead cap number is. You didn't have any money to go sign anybody. You've got to look at CeeDee Lamb. Micah Parsons hasn't been paid yet either. So unless you're banking on another $30 million jump in your salary cap, you're getting no relief there and have to make hard decisions. On the other side, from a Dak perspective, is maybe you want to see what else is out there and not play with that star on the side of your helmet. Go to an organization where there's perhaps a bit of a better structure, communication, and not an owner wearing you out on air every Tuesday and Wednesday or whenever he decides to pick up the damn phone, right, to call in to the local radio station. So no franchise tag. He's got a no trade clause, all of those things. You run it back one more time. You've won 12 regular season games 3 years in a row. I mean, last year, again, as badly as the defense failed, I think Dak, for a large part of it, got a free pass. The offense did nothing to slow that train wreck down against Green Bay, right? It just kept going because they had short possessions and had that defense right back out there, and they were tripping over their tongues by the end of the second quarter. Yeah. So, Dak and the offense, they've got to shoulder some of that. And for Jerry, he's frustrated, right? It's why Arthur Blank went and spent all the money he did on Kirk Cousins. These guys are looking at, and the road up ahead, a lot shorter than the stuff behind them.
Yeah, it's like this is a gap year for the Cowboys. We're not going to do anything. And we're waiting for next year. It's like the Cowboys have said, we're punting on 2024. We're going to give you the team you saw, lots of guys from last year, no changes, and if it doesn't get better, then we're going to redo things after this year. The money situation will be better.
But if you look around the division, you should be able to compete for the division, shouldn't you?
Oh, your division's terrible. Right, you should be. But you're a team that won 12 games last year. All you did was lose players now. You're going to be better?
Trevon Diggs comes back, though.
You going to be better?
I don't know.
Really going to be better? I mean, seriously. I mean, you're not going to win the division. The Eagles will likely win the division. So you're talking about trying to get as a wild card.
I mean, their owner went and put Sirianni on blast today.
I like their roster a lot better than I like the Cowboys roster.
No Jason Kelce to be that anchor. Although Saquon Barkley kind of...
Yeah, I feel better. It's a pretty good roster. I feel better about it.
How much do you love Jalen Hurts? Because everybody hates Jalen Hurts again.
I told you
want to talk about a guy riding a pendulum? Like, if you were just going to make a painting with AI, it would be the Jalen Hurts. Which side of that the pendulum swing is he on? Do you love him or do you hate him?
Told you about the Cowboys. Told you about Dak. This is how it's going. It's a gap year. Whatever happens, we're all in. I mean, by that, I mean, we're not really going to try.
But you know what? By doing this, they're far more entertaining to me.
We had a big day in the NFL today. All kinds of rule changes.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you. A lot of them I said, nah. One, I absolutely love. All the big NFL news today. The penalty categories that are now reviewable: roughing the passer, intentional grounding, and hits out of bounds. This is the biggest W for the NFL, for fans, for quarterbacks, for defensive players. This is something everybody can get behind, right? Because they should be reviewable. Roughing the passer, nobody gets more upset about penalty flags that are thrown than when you see a ridiculously bad roughing the passer thrown. So now that's reviewable, right? Also, hey, intentional grounding. He's not outside the tackle box. Yeah, okay, but I'm glad that's reviewable. But hits out of bounds, yeah. I mean, all of these are great, but especially the roughing the passer. Defensive players finally are saying, we get a win.